Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those listening and watching this episode of the Talking Sports podcast. Jeremiah, it's been a minute, bro. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. There's been a lot of stuff that has happened since
Yeah.
we've last been able to get on the pod, but I'm excited. We got a full show today, so I'm excited to get into it.
We got a full show today, like Jeremiah said. Get your popcorn, get some food, get some snacks, and let's just talk some sports. We're gonna be breaking down a lot of different things today. We're gonna talk about NBA playoffs that's going on. The NFL schedule were released for all 32 teams. We're gonna get into that. But first, we're gonna break down some paydays that happened recently in the NFL. And we're going to talk about Harrison Butker and his commencement speech that he gave this past week, I guess. So let's get into that first, just to start us off. Harrison Butker, kicker for my Kansas City Chiefs, um, was giving a commencement speech at Benedictine College. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it was last weekend, May 11th. And this is a college that is in Kansas, at Atchison, Kansas. Of course, he lives in Kansas City. So he's Catholic also, and this is a Catholic school. So I guess that's the reason why they wanted him to give the commencement speech, just being a prominent, member of Kansas and that community, but also being Catholic. So that makes sense. And so a lot of his words and his remarks really polarizing. It got a lot of attention on social media and in the sports world. So with him, being Catholic or being a Christian, we wanted to break that down because we're Christians as well. And, we understand that when God gives you a platform, then, you want to give him the glory and, allow him to shine. And I think he really did that. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it, and I'm going to do that, maybe after we record this, but I've read it, and, a lot of his remarks were um, very interesting. He talked about a lot of different things, wide variety of things, womanhood, manhood, COVID, the president, abortion, just a lot of different topics. And we just want to break that down a little bit. And so have you heard anything? What have you heard about it recently?
Yeah, I think the main thing I heard and saw was certain people's reactions around the world.
Yeah.
You know, NFL executives, celebrities, talk show hosts, all coming out either defending him or bashing him, agreeing or disagreeing. I've seen both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this before we fully get into it, but I'll just say, I think it really shows the courage that Harrison had to say everything he said in a time of censorship, in a time of being canceled, in a time of um, speaking publicly about your morals and values is not accepted like it was in years past. So I just think it
Yeah.
shows a lot of courage from him. But like you mentioned, he did hit a lot of hot topics, a lot of national um, issues and debates, and it's really interesting to see people's different takes and point of views around the world on it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And just to, um, he started off hot, and I'm gonna read this, and this is from the NC Register. They have the whole speech online, and that's the National Catholic Register. If you all want to go onto that website and check that out. But in the first few remarks, he talked about COVID, and just saying that by making it to this moment through all adversity thrown your way from COVID, I hope you learned the important lessons that suffering in this life is only temporary, which is, very true and a great quote. As a group, you witnessed firsthand how bad leaders who don't stay in their lane can have a negative impact on society. Now, of course, we don't know who he's talking about there, but you know, in the COVID realm when we were in that, there were big leaders who made their mark and they were out front in the media and in news coverage, out front and making those claims and statements as to how everyone should live and just making decisions. So that was a big jab on those people for sure.
for sure. And like you mentioned, it is only speculation. We don't know exactly who he's referring to. Um, but still, like I mentioned, like this speech, I think the issue is a lot of people are picking and choosing certain statements.
Yeah,
And instead of looking at his overall message, and I think for us that's the most important thing. So look at what is he actually trying to say? What is he trying to get the people he's speaking to understand?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very true. And you can't pick and choose, and the media does this a lot. They pick and choose a lot of different excerpts and different quotes and things like that, and they just pick on that thing, and they base everything off of that one thing. Like a lot of what is being talked about is how he spoke about women and motherhood, womanhood, things like that. And he also talked about men too, but that's not going to get talked about for whatever reason. And just to give you what he said, um, the part that's really the most polarizing thing that's being talked about is he says here, and I quote, "I can tell you that my beautiful wife Isabel would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on the stage today and I'm able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I am blessed with many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. She is a primary educator to our children. She is the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. She is the person that knows me best at my core and it is through our marriage that Lord willing obtain we will both attain salvation." End quote. Um, a lot of that is getting a lot of backlash because of you can call it the women's movement, you can call it um you know what's it called, the what's the women's movement right now,
The Me Too, the feminist agenda.
feminism, you can call
Yeah.
it that. And what are your main thoughts on that part of it?
Um, like I mentioned previously, it takes a lot of courage to say what he said. I think an important aspect that we're missing is he's giving praise to his wife.
Yeah,
Um, and the entire world is taking that part of the speech and saying, "Oh, a woman's highest calling is being in the home, and that's
yeah,
all a woman needs to do is have kids and stay at home and blah blah blah." It's not what he said.
No.
What he said is that in his role, in their family, and in their situation, his wife doing what she did for him, for their family, is why they were successful, is why they have the beautiful family and dream that he had. He's a Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't say that. So he's giving praise to his wife. Not only that, he's encouraging those students he's speaking to I think live out your vocation. I I, I don't know. I feel like I'm a simple person. I take things how they are. I read them how they are, um, and I look to see what I can gain from it
Hmm.
instead of trying to bash someone for what they're saying worked for them. It's
Right.
not to say this situation is going to work for everybody. It may not work for me. It may not work for you. It worked for them. So like I mentioned, I think it takes courage for Harrison to say what he said. I salute him. I enjoyed reading the speech. I think a lot of people that have issues with what he said are fishing for clicks, fishing for likes, wanting to be socially acceptable, wanting to be quote unquote, right about certain issues in today's time. So
Yeah.
for me, it's a different. I look at it differently. I can appreciate what he said, and I try to learn from what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love what he said, and we'll break down what he said about men too. But people take things so literal, and they take things to the extreme.
Yeah,
And I really like that's something that is a pet peeve of mine because he was talking about his experience,
right.
and you know he didn't say that. Well, one thing that he did say is that um, some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. That was another quote that had some people going on about a lot of different things. And he mentioned both. He mentioned both. Some of you are going to have lead successful careers, but majority. I mean, you have to think about the audience as well. Like this is a Catholic school, and Orthodox and things like that. Like you don't know the people in the audience, especially the people on the outside. Like you don't know the people in the audience, so you can't say that they're bashing him. Like it got a applause after he said these things. It says literally, applause lasted 18 seconds after he was talking about his wife and women and things like that. So like the fact that he's talking about his experience, why are you bashing this man about this? Like it's his ideas, it's how he lived his life. You can't. I don't know. I just don't think you can really fault him for speaking his experience, his life, which has blessed him and his family. Now, I do understand some people when they say that not everybody is going to want to stay at home and things like that. Now, not everybody has the opportunity, like you said. Not everybody can afford to do that. When you have two-parent home, sometimes both parents have to work just to make ends meet. Like not everybody is a two-time Super Bowl, three-time Super Bowl winning kicker,
Yeah,
and have the ability to have their wife be at home. Like not everybody has that. So you
right.
have to take that into consideration as well. But like the premise into what he's saying is about his experience, and like that can never be a bad thing. I don't get what people are up in arms about. Um, I don't think any of it was sexist. I don't think any of it was, you know, bigoted in any way. Um, if you like dissect it and try to add stuff to it, then of course it's gonna be. But I don't think it was that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I'll just say this really quickly. The Athletic with the New York Times put out an article in response to this, and the sisters of the college came out and denounced his, homemaker, home wife, whatever,
Yeah.
um, address in that part of his speech.
Hmm.
But they also mentioned that his jersey sales were rising, and like you
Skyrocket.
mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, he he got an applause after he was over. Everybody stood up, clap. Um,
Hmm.
the few people who are so narrow minded that they only want to come out and bash this man for speaking on his experience are the ones that have agendas, are
Yeah.
the ones that are uh, being paid to say things, are only in the positions they're in to come out and bash certain things like this. So I'm with you. I don't see the crime in it, and um, I I fully appreciate what he said, and I think too we're in a world to where celebrities are so many of our role models.
Yeah.
That really shouldn't be the case. But in this example here, I think he's someone that our young people should be able to look up to.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
a family man, has kids, wife, a leader on his football team. Um,
Absolutely.
and with
He's the
this
best kicker.
speech,
He's the best kicker in the league to me. And
I
I'm
agree.
not just saying that bias as a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yeah,
I really do think he's clutch.
I agree.
He's
He's proven.
clutch.
He's proven.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so I think in a time to where it's hard to find somebody to look up to, it's hard to find role models. I think with this speech, he's further proven why he's really just a great Christian man, and I think
Hmm.
he's someone that should be looked up to as a role model.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to find the NFL's response to um, to what they said because they did speak to it, and I wanna read that. And I wish I could find it. If we do find it, we'll read it. But um, let's get into what he said about men as well, because as men that we are in society, he spoke to a lot of things that um, are important for us to get into and to live out. And so he said to the gentleman here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in a home is what plays a huge role in the violence we see around our nation. Other countries do not nearly have the same absentee fathers rate as we find here in the U.S., and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things, never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something you think might suit you better. I speak from experience as an introvert who finds myself as a entrepreneur. Um, I'm sorry, amateur public speaker and entrepreneur, something that I never thought I'd be when I received my industrial engineering degree. End quote. Um, he says more, but we'll just stop right there. Just huge things said for men you know, be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Like, and we see it every day, emasculation of men, and especially with, transgenderism and LGBTQ, that whole movement. It's against the man, primarily. And so it's huge that he spoke to this, and you know, I think what we can't do is um, look over the fact that sometimes it's not always the case, right? If there's a man that's a father that's not in the home, that doesn't always mean that there's going to be disorder, dysfunction, and chaos and things like that. Sometimes you have a lot of cases where a single parent home produces a lot of great people, and we've seen that in our society today. But for the most part, and again, just coming from his perspective, it's primarily true.
It is primarily true. Um, he's speaking from experience, like we mentioned, and not only that, he's giving a call to action, um, which which I think is something that should be done more in these commencement speeches
Yeah,
at these schools because it's what's needed. We're in a time to where men are wearing skirts and dresses and painting their fingernails and wearing makeup and doing things was unheard of um,
yeah,
years ago. So this is what needs to be said. Strong men need to be in the home. Strong men need to be leading their families. Christian men need to be um, leading their families in a biblical and godly way. And
yeah.
this is something that is coming from a biblical perspective, a Christian worldview, if you will,
Right.
um, which is rare, which is very rare, especially in the NFL.
Exactly.
So, and I want to read what Jonathan Bean said, who is the senior vice president and chief diversity and inclusion officer of the NFL. He was the first one I saw that came out in response to what Harrison said.
Perfect.
Says
Thank you.
quote, yeah, says quote, Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. He said his views are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. End quote. So that was kind of a small little snippet of what he said in response to it. But you know, like we mentioned, these people that are responding to this have agendas. They have checks to write. They have their own checks to cash. They're
Now,
not.
yeah, I was about to say that
Yeah,
it's their own checks
exactly,
that they have to
exactly.
cash, because if they don't want anybody to say that they're with him and then they
Right.
losing their job,
Hmm.
so they're just covering their own behind,
Exactly.
basically.
Exactly. And you know, diversity only works through a Christian worldview and perspective. If
Absolutely.
if you accept everything, you'll fall for anything. So
Right.
this response, this comment means nothing to me. It's a AI generated response that
Right.
you know
Exactly.
is meant to be one thing only, and we all know what that is. We know the views that the NFL has. So
Right.
I like I said, I stand with Harrison. I don't see what the big fuss is about. Uh, I appreciate what he said, and I think people don't have to share his views, but he's speaking from his own experience. I say take what you will from it, move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I just want to say, because most of the stuff that the backlash is about women and motherhood and things like that. And we just had Mother's Day this past Sunday, and it's coming from our experience, Jeremiah, you and I, where we had our mom homeschool us, and she sacrificed her time and effort and things like that. She would probably agree with this, that motherhood and motherhood and being a mother is more valuable than a career, because if you can lead your child to Christ, then as a mother, that's the number one goal as a Christian mother. And so and not to say that women who work can't do that, but she our mom did that. And so shout out to you, mom, love you so much. um but to the other women that may be working, and he just said, basically that's his experience, basically. And um moms value bringing their children up and helping them to see Christ. And that's just a very important thing. And that's his experience.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's a special thing um, for moms. So shout out to all the moms, the wives
Yeah.
that sacrifice for their children, for their families, for their husbands. Um, it's it's becoming um, looked at negatively now to
Mhm.
put your family first, to put your husband first, as a wife and as a mom. Same thing with the husbands. It's becoming rare to have that type of relationship, not only with God but also with your family. So
Right.
shout out to them, for people who still hold core values and beliefs that are still special and valuable.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to all the moms. Shout out to my wife, mother of my children. Love you so much. Thank you for all that you do. Um, and just moms are different. Moms are special. They're
Yeah.
strong. And my mother-in-law, she, you know, she raised children, and she created a beautiful, beautiful family. And the hard work that she put in, to for them to be where they are now is incredible. Just in that situation, so it's just I have strong women and strong mothers all around me, and I'm grateful. And so, shout out to all the moms out there. But just getting back to this, shout out to Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
I It would be like the most biggest thing if we could have him on the show and just
Yeah.
talk about that moment. And that would be crazy. That would really be crazy. That would really be great. But yeah,
He's
shout out to Harrison Butker.
he's probably going to be really busy after this
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And just to think, like, some of the biggest things you could ever do, the biggest like name you could make for yourself is not even doing what you like your career. Like, he's a football kicker, but he's getting more buzz, and he's getting talked about way more just based off of this speech. And while it is polarizing, I don't know if he expected to get the type of notoriety and backlash that he received. But maybe he did, just based on the topics and the polarizing nature of the content that he basically stated. But I wanted to, give a shout out to the people in the NFL that did side with him. Chris Jones, Cole Beasley. They really spoke. Um, Cole said, "Is this Cole? I don't know if this is Cole. Somebody. But they were they spoke well, with him, and so shout out to them for not being afraid to you know speak, be positive for him, and not being afraid to risk their jobs or whatever, um, you know, for just for a response. So shout out to them, and that's all I really had for that particular topic. Great conversation, Jeremiah. We can get into more of the mainstream sports topics, but as Mav says, God first, God bless. So
Right.
we wanted to put God first in that situation here for this episode of the pod. So let's transition to some paydays because we saw Jared Goff get a huge payday, and this isn't the first Detroit Lion that's been paid. This offseason, a lot of Detroit Lions players have gotten their payday. And what do you feel is I guess the not backlash, that's the wrong word, but the repercussions of them going this route, making him a highly paid quarterback in this situation?
I think there's only one, I guess, maybe negative conversation surrounding his paycheck, uh, which is expectation. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that comes with the money. Um, he got 4 year extension, 212 million. He's the second highest paid quarterback now in the NFL, only behind Joe Burrow. So I look at that and I say it's Super Bowl or bust. I mean, the expectation is there. You had a good year last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think you went further than people thought you would for sure. But it's Super Bowl or bust. And like you mentioned, the Lions they've paid some people. They've kept the guys they needed to keep. Um, Now it's time to see what they can do. And
Right.
that's just how I look at it.
Yeah. 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 It's why I wouldn't have done. I'm not sure I would have done this move. I definitely understand putting like all the pieces around him,
Right.
but like you said, expectations are huge now.
Yeah.
He's the second highest quarterback in the league, and while there are some quarterbacks that will, probably get paid here in the next couple months before the season starts, that will bump him down a little bit, but still, while he's had success, he hasn't gotten over the hump. And I mean, if we're being real, it's because of him. Like he's gone to the Super Bowl with the Rams. They only put up what, 6 points, 3 points,
I think
seven
six.
points,
Yeah.
some like so, you know, and then turnovers in these last playoffs, just not getting the job done when it matters the most. He is a good quarterback, and I'm not begrudging him at all. He's a good quarterback, but I just don't think he is worth being the second highest quarterback in the league. I understand the markets and um, you know quarterback race and where it's going right now. They're just going up and up and up. He's had success. He got into the NFC Championship game last season. Got into the Super Bowl back with the Rams. But I don't know if this move is going to put them in a situation where they can be successful for years and years and years just because you did make that paycheck, did pay him that money, and that's going to diminish other players that have to get paid in the future. And like you said, expectations. If you don't make it, then it's on you, buddy. It's on you. Like you can't really go any other way.
Right. No. Yeah, it's true. I mean, the pieces are around him. You have the coach, you got the defense, you got the weapons. It's on him. So
Yeah,
there is no excuse now. Um, and I think he knows this. We're not saying anything new. They
right.
understand what they have to do, but it's still we've seen this before. We've seen QBs, receivers, whoever get paid, and their next year is a much lower level than what they achieved in years past. So expectation is there. I think Dan Campbell's a great motivator. I think they'll be fine. Um, I agree with you. I probably wouldn't have paid that much. I mean, 73 mil signing bonus, a lot more guaranteed. 212. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
So, we'll see what happens. He had a great year last year. He did, um, but he still came up short. So he has to get over that hump. Maybe he'll reach his value. Maybe he won't.
So let's transition a little bit to. I agree with you. Let's transition a little bit to a quarterback that did not get paid, and we can kind of compare and contrast. So Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, did not get paid. There's no extension. Who knows if they're even close to an extension? It seems as though the Cowboys are putting all their chips in a basket for this season and then just figuring it out after that fact. So we saw Dak was second in MVP, um, all pro quarterback, led the league in touchdowns, but we also saw him lose in the first round of the playoffs. So how do you compare the quarterback situation between Detroit and Dallas? And payday or no payday?
Right. It's a little bit different of a comparison. Going back to the trade between the Rams and the Lions, Stafford and Goff, you know, it was a mutual agreement between both teams. They both wanted their guy. They both got them.
Yeah.
So, I think the Lions are more sure, more firm in their decision of keeping Goff. Um, so it's a little more understandable that he gets paid. Now, considering Dak Prescott, listen, I'm not a Cowboy fan by any means, but I do love Dak Prescott. Um, Ever since he took over for Romo in 2016, I think he's been much a much better QB than any of us thought coming out of the draft. Um, and I think he's won what, two playoff games, one playoff game, maybe. Uh,
Two, I think
I think
two.
I think two, yeah. So could he be better? Absolutely. Um, with this team now, you bring back Zeke, you have Dak, you still have Micah and CD. I feel like the reason why they're not paying him is because they're going to give him one more crack at it. They're going to say, you still have all the pieces for the most part, a little bit less on the O line, but you still have most of the pieces from last year. Can you get us over the hump? And I think, the loss against the Packers definitely hurt
Yeah.
um, the whole Cowboys fan base, and, maybe the decision of paying Dak. I think it definitely might have put a bad taste in their mouth. Um, but I still think he has leverage over them to get the contract. Um, he doesn't have a franchise tag. He's just gonna finish it out. Um, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the contract. Also, wouldn't be surprised if they let him go. So, comparing the two, I feel like I'm not gonna go the race card. Um, they've both proven that they're good quarterbacks. I just think Lions are more firm in their decision of keeping Goff than the Cowboys are of keeping Dak.
Hmm. That's interesting. I I agree with their decision not to pay him, because playoffs is the most important thing.
Mm.
Regular season is good,
Yeah.
but we look at Lamar. Let's think about Lamar.
Mm.
He had his payday last season, and then he got MVP. So that decision is kind of validated a little bit, but also
Yeah.
he didn't go to the Super Bowl. So I mean, it's give and take a little bit, but you know, the greatness in the NFL is determined on playoff success, championships, and winning. And we look at all the greats: Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, um, Peyton Manning. These a lot of the other quarterbacks in the past. They're marked by their playoff success, and so I fully agree and stand with their decision to not pay Dak, just because this is not it. I would understand it. Well, I'll take that back. I wouldn't understand it if this was his first contract.
Yeah.
If this was his first contract, then what are you doing? You got to pay him, because you got to keep your guy. But this is his second contract, and almost 8 years, 8 or 9 years with
Yeah.
the organization. And let's see what he does this season. Now, we're talking about quarterbacks, but I don't know why they wouldn't pay CD. That's the thing that's the most confusing thing to me, as a Cowboys fan, um, because I think he's one of the best wide receivers in this league, and it's shown that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree with the decision of the Cowboys not to pay him, just because you gotta be the guy when it matters the most, and playoff success is the most important thing. So, but yeah, shout out to Jared Goff getting his money. We'll see what they do this season, and it's a good transition, because let's look at the Lions' schedule. Um, the Of course, they made it to the NFC Championship. They were the first in their division, so that means they're gonna get the tougher schedule in that division, and that division is tough.
Yes.
It's I think it's probably going to be one of the better divisions, if not the best, just with
Yeah.
the talent, the youth, the quarterbacks that are in that division. The different matchups, the rivalries, things of that nature. Plus, you got Caleb Williams coming in, so that's going to add some spark to the division as well. Justin Jefferson is back from his injury. He's looking to, reclaim the number one wide receiver and best playmaker in the league. JJ McCarthy, another rookie quarterback coming into the fold for Minnesota. So, so yeah, this division is going to be crazy. And so, just looking at it, first week you got the Rams. That rematch on the playoffs, a great game that Detroit won. Stafford versus Golf, like you mentioned. They're going against each other again. So yeah, this is very interesting. They're very interesting. They have a lot of winnable games though. Um, it just depends on how good the division is going to be. That's really going to be the determining factor. They've got they've got Dallas in week 6.
Mhm.
Um, they've got Houston. I don't know why, but I want to look at Houston's schedule. It seems like Houston plays every good team, bro.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
And Houston is gonna be, oh my goodness. I don't know how they're gonna, but other than that, other than the division, they got the Bills in week 15, San Francisco week 17. But it's really gonna be up to the division and who wins that division. Um, and we'll definitely break down you know, week by week and um team by team once we do our panels for the divisions. But just looking at NFL schedules as a whole, what stood out to you?
Well, I want to touch on the Lions really quick, because, like you mentioned, they are in a really good division. I think though they're still in prime position to not only win the division but probably sweep it. Um,
Ooh,
they still have the most experience in that division. I mean, those other teams, young quarterbacks, young teams,
yeah,
talented, very talented, but
yeah,
still young, inexperienced. I think the Lions are in prime position to pretty much take that division by storm. Now, looking at the schedule as a whole, um, I mean, I think honestly, if I'm being honest with you, one of the best games of the season might be Ravens Chiefs to start off.
yeah,
I mean, it just might be. Um, I know we had a few 60 point blowouts, 70-point blowouts last season. They were
yeah.
cool to watch, whatever. But as far as exciting games, down to the wire games, this Ravens Chiefs game on Thursday night starting off might be one of the best. So I'm looking forward to that.
Before you move on though, how do you feel about that? As like on both sides, like the the Chiefs starting out their season going against another, very difficult team to play against when you
Yeah.
won a Super Bowl, and we saw it last season against the Lions. We
Uh-huh.
didn't, of course, we didn't know what the Lions were going to be,
Then,
going into last season, but
yeah.
we have hindsight now, so it made sense. But as a for Ravens fans out there, how do you feel about this matchup going against the Chiefs in the first week after just losing it to them in the AFC Championship last season?
For me, you know, looking back on that game, the entire world was rooting for the Ravens and Lamar.
Yeah,
And, to have that support, I feel like the Ravens, they came up short. We understand the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're going to find a way.
yeah,
But if I'm the Ravens, I'm looking at this like we have to find a way to beat them. I mean, whether it's week 1, week 10, AFC Championship game, doesn't matter. Like, you have to find a way to beat this team because if you want to get to the Super Bowl, got to go through them. So,
yep.
I'm putting all my chips in the basket. Like, I'm going for this game. I don't care if it's week 1. Get all your jitters out in preseason if there even still is a preseason. Are they still doing preseason?
Yeah, yeah, they are.
I think so. Okay. Yeah. Get all that out in the preseason. Go beat the Chiefs and do everything you can to beat them because you need some edge. You need a point. I mean, I don't know how many times they played them and haven't beat them, but you have to find a way.
Or Mahomes is 4-1 against them.
4-1, exactly. Um, yeah, I'm going for it from the Ravens.
It's just interesting to me because we saw the whole breakdown of that game last season. At the end was they got away from the run game,
Mhm.
and we saw they bring in Derrick Henry. Lamar, he says he's losing weight.
Mhm.
So as a scheme, does that mean that they're going to be, taking the ball out of Lamar's hands? Are they going to be running the ball more this season? Um, their whole identity was supposed to flip because they got away from their old offensive coordinator to bring in Greg Munkin, who's supposed to be a incredible passing game coordinator, offensive coordinator, but it seems like now they're flipping back because possibly they forgot to run the ball in the AFC Championship. So it's just kind of a conundrum as to what the Ravens are going to be. That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I saw the headline that Lamar was losing weight, and he's feeling his best ever. And I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, so like, are you just trying to slim down? Like, are you trying to be more elusive and run more? Like, what's the plan? Um, and if they keep some of those running backs healthy last season, maybe it's a different story. Who knows? Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I feel like they've got to just give the keys to Lamar and let him do it. Let him run. Let him throw. Just let him decide. Don't don't force him to be a pocket passer. Don't force him to only run. You have to incorporate both. So I'm excited to see what they do. I have my faith in him is about the same. I'm not gonna say it's any higher or lower, but you got to get over the hump. You got to get over the hump. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely want to for sure. Um, are there just as far as NFL schedules go before we move on to the NBA? Are
Yeah.
there any other games that stand out to you?
Yes. I got Ravens Cowboys week 3.
Week three. Yep.
That's going to be a big one. Um,
It is.
there was one more that I saw. I think it was.
While you're looking at that, I just want to look at Houston's schedule really
Yeah,
quickly.
I was about to say, well, week 10, Lions Texans. It's going to be another huge one. I feel like
The Texans have games, marquee games all season,
all
and
season.
we said it last year, but they're going to be the most exciting team to watch for me, other than the Chiefs. Uh,
Absolutely.
bringing in Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, um, they're putting all their chips in the basket as they should with a rookie quarterback that is poised and had the rookie season that he had last season. Um, so let's break down this schedule really quickly. Just talking about Houston, and we'll talk about it more. Malik, I know you're watching Houston. We're gonna be bringing you in to talk about these Texans because I know you're excited about them. So just preseason. So their division is I think they can win the division easy, but it's going to be those other games. So week 2, Chicago Bears, Caleb
Yeah.
versus CJ. This is the matchup that everybody was looking forward to
Yeah.
with Caleb coming into the league because everybody's asking, can Caleb do what CJ did last season as
Right.
a rookie quarterback? Can he get his team to the playoffs? Can anybody surpass the best rookie season of a quarterback ever that CJ had? And a lot of people are saying he can. With the pieces that Caleb has in Chicago,
Yeah.
he more than likely can, more than likely will. But that's a Sunday night game, so that's a good one too. Week 5. Let's go. Let's move on. Week 5 against
Yep.
the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs against his old team. That is a game that everybody's going to be watching. Um, the he Stephon Diggs is gonna want to go absolutely crazy
Yeah,
against his former team,
for sure.
and unfortunately, the Bills defense doesn't have anybody that can stop him now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to be a very different Bills team than we're used to seeing. Uh,
Yeah,
very young. They needed to get some of those older pieces out of there, but very inexperienced team. I, yeah, I don't think the Bills got much of a shot in that one, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, Josh Allen is, and we can talk about the Bills later, but they're gonna. Josh Allen is gonna have to win MVP for them to do
Yeah,
anything this
yeah,
season. They've broken it down all the way to the studs, and
yeah,
their roster is just lacking. But the next matchup, Green Bay, that's going to be a good one. Two young
yep,
quarterbacks duking it out. Luckily, in October it won't be too cold in Green
yeah,
Bay. So um, next game, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers.
yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
If he's healthy
Week
by
10.
week 9, that's a huge game as well.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
see.
that's an important game that could a lot of playoff potential there. Depending on how they fare. Week 10, like you said, Detroit Lions. That's going to be a good game. The Battle of Texas, Week 11, Monday Night Football at Cowboy Stadium. Dallas Cowboys versus Houston Texans. This one is circled on the calendar because we know this offseason Micah Parsons and CJ, they've had their they've been on the podcast together and they've been talking a lot. Dude, they did a lot of draft stuff together. We saw those TikToks and those Bleacher Report videos. That's going to be an incredible game too. Um, we'll see where the Cowboys are
Yeah.
in week 11. We don't really know, but that's going to be an incredible game.
I want to talk on this real quick. It's a
Yeah.
it's a good feeling because you know the recent years the Texas team has been the Cowboys, so it's good to see that Houston may be able to put up a little bit of a fight. Um,
Oh yeah,
both very,
absolutely.
very talented teams, like you mentioned. We'll see where they are um,
Right.
in that moment. But JD, from week 15 on, I don't know what these Texans are gonna do, bro.
I
I don't know.
know. I
It's tough.
know. Miami, Kansas City, and Baltimore, and then Tennessee to end the divisional game. Those week 15 through 17,
That's
that's gonna be
tough.
playoff push,
Yeah,
seeding. Of course, we knock on wood against injuries, for these teams. But yeah, that's a huge stretch, the final, 4 weeks of the season. But like we said, the Houston Texans, they just have a lot of marquee games and um it's going to be very interesting to see and watch them this season.
they have the toughest schedule, right? I mean, is that
Um,
I don't know if that's been out there, but I mean, it seems to me,
I mean, it
should
seems that way. It
yeah,
seems that way just based on who they're playing.
right.
Um, I think it said honestly the Ravens had the toughest schedule,
The
but let
Ravens.
me
Okay.
let me check. Or no, wait. Strength of schedule, easiest schedules, hardest schedules. It says Pittsburgh has the hardest schedule.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
I mean, I guess we have to consider the strength of the team itself. Uh,
Yeah, I guess
but
so.
I just feel like as far as playing contenders, I mean, teams with in the past with winning records, I don't see how it gets any tougher than the Texans.
Right. Yeah. No, they play everybody that's good. Like,
Right.
but again, that's what happens when you win because you get the winning team in the division gets the harder schedule. So
Right.
they play they play all the teams that won the division last year. So they play and I mean and it depends on what division you're playing too. So they're playing all the teams from the NFC North. So Packers, Vikings, they're playing all those teams. All those teams are good
Right.
or projected to be good.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills, and they play the AFC East. So they play the Buffalo Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots could have a good defense. They play the Jets, they play the Lions, Cowboys. So and then you play the Chiefs and the Ravens, which are those one-off teams. Um, so so yeah, no, they have a very tough schedule.
Yeah.
And personally, I think you're probably right. I would have to look at Pittsburgh's schedule to see,
Right.
but um, I would say yeah that schedule is very tough.
Mhm. For sure. Well, let's transition now. If you're ready, let's transition to NBA. We have some games that were expected, some games that were maybe a little bit of a shocker. Um, I guess we'll start with the series that ended earliest, the Celtics
Yeah, for sure.
and the Cavs. Ended in 5 games. Boston won that series 4-1. I think we both mentioned beforehand that they were probably going to win in 5. Um, you know, the
Yeah.
Cavs got 1. It was a good game. Uh,
Hmm.
but, it seems like Tatum, I kind of called him out before this series. It seems like he stepped up to the plate. He did what he had to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on that series?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to spend too much time here. The Celtics are the best team in the NBA.
Yep.
And it proved that they did not have Porzingis this entire series, and they didn't need him. Unfortunately, Jared Allen got hurt, and he wasn't able to play. That would have been if they would have had the two bigs, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, then that would have been a little bit more difficult. But I don't think the Celtics really had to change anything as far as their scheme. They stuck with their scheme. They shot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, he played well in the series, but for 2 games it was Derek White. One game it was Jaylen Brown, and
Mhm.
that last game it was Al Horford. So it's just when you have a good team like this, you can depend on anybody, and anybody can step up at any moment. And I wanna shout out Joe Mazzulla because he's sticking to his team, the team aspect of it.
Yeah.
Hauser's getting minutes, Pritchard's getting minutes. The big man, I'm blanking on his name right now. Gosh, let me see real quick. Well, the one of the big men that they have used to play for the Bulls.
Horford? How?
No, no, I'm about to pull it up right now, but he played some big minutes. You got Sam Hauser. He played Luke Cornett.
Oh, Cornette. Okay. Yeah.
Cornett, yeah, he played some minutes. He had a big role as the backup big. Since Al Horford was starting, so he would be coming off the bench as the backup big. This team is they're just really good, man, and unfortunately, the Cavs that's what they wanted. I mean, they wanted the Magic in the first round, and that went 7 games, and you got what you got after that, which is the Celtics. So again, I don't agree with their route that they chose, but I'm happy that they lost in five because when you lose to try to get an opponent, then the next round, what do you expect, especially going against the Celtics?
Yeah.
Um, and we see what's happening in the Indiana series with the Knicks. That could have been you possibly. It's just a better matchup, but I digress with that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mentioned before that I felt like the Cavs were going to be limping into the series against the Celtics. I was right. Um, they, couldn't hang. Um, but you know, the Celtics are the best team in the league. I fear slightly that they haven't been tested enough.
They haven't.
And, playing two teams that were, hurt for most uh half of the series at least, or playing hurt. Um it is gonna be tough, you know, whoever they play, whether it's the Pacers or Knicks. God, I hope it's the Knicks. Um, I hope
Why?
just because I feel like I mean, I don't know. Maybe it should be the Pacers. Pacers are deeper. Who knows? I just feel like Brunson's talent is incredible. We'll get to the Pacers and Knicks in a second, but
Yeah.
I feel like the Celtics hopefully they can still come with it when they get to either the Pacers or Knicks, without really having a real challenge. And maybe that's just a testament to them being as good as they are.
Yeah, yeah. Let's transition because like you said, they haven't been tested. They're going to be tested more in this in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they're rested, man. They're
Yeah,
rested, and they're saying that Porzingis is not going to be ready for the um, the Eastern Conference Finals. He's probably going to miss the first two games, but are they going to need him then? I mean, so let's transition to the West. The one seed in the West is in a game six against the Dallas Mavericks, and Dallas in six is what I said. I don't remember what you said, but I said Dallas in six, and it's shaping out that that's exactly what it's going to be. Shout out to PJ Washington, man. This guy has really been on one this entire playoff run. And this series, man, he's just playing so good. He's locked in defensively. And again, just shout out this organization, man. They made the moves that they knew that they needed to make to transform this entire team, which was already good. You already had Luca, you already had Kyrie, but adding those auxiliary pieces, on the edges that can help bolster your wing depth, your length, your defensive scheme it's proven to be a masterclass of organization, and masterclass of moves, and that's why they're up in this series.
yeah, I agree with you. I like this team a lot. This Mavericks team
Yeah,
is
a
good.
lot, man.
Um, and they're fun to watch as well. I think
Yeah,
there was a possession where I mean it looked like a soccer game. They were just like 1-2, 1-2 passing, just moving down the court. Like it was
yes,
crazy. Um, but they got the right pieces that they needed to help Luca. And it shows when you have an owner, when you have a GM, when you have a coach that is fully bought in to providing for their star and their team, you can do special things. I can't remember exactly what I said either regarding the series. I have to go back and look. I'll let y'all
yeah.
know. But yeah, I think the Mavericks are going to close it out. I think they have all the confidence. And man, listen, we've been saying this for most of their games, but like they still aren't playing that well, and they're still
Exactly.
winning. Kyrie had
That's
12
the
points last
thing.
game, and they won. Like,
Exactly. Luca. Luca is averaging 23, 10, and 8. And while that's good, Shea is averaging 31, 9, and 7. And
Yep.
the shooting splits are Luca's are terrible.
Yeah.
He had a good game this past game,
Right.
which is why they won. But again, it's a team. It's the team.
Yep.
And so when I'm thinking about the team, it reminds me of their championship team. So
Yep.
let's take a look at that. And I got it pulled up here.
Okay.
You got and the comparison when I'm looking at it, the comparisons are crazy because you have your main star, Luca, in 2011, it was Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the point guard? The coach right now, Jason
He's
Kidd.
the kid.
Older, an older point guard who is, his main success was, earlier in his career, but and that's your Kyrie. He's an older point guard, still really good, big name, but he's leading the charge there.
Mhm.
And then you got all your auxiliary pieces after that. JJ Barea, Corey Brewer,
Sean
Karan
Marion.
Butler,
Yep.
Sean Marion,
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Stojakovic, Jason Terry, like all those auxiliary wings and bigs. Brendan Haywood, he had a big role in that series when they won that
Yeah.
championship. Steve Novak, um, Tyson Chandler, like, and this team, you look at it, it's eerily similar. It's
Yep.
eerily similar to
It
the
is.
team that they have now. So shout out to Jason Kidd for recreating
Yeah. Right.
recreating this lineup and this
Crazy.
team to kind of match and mimic what he did back in 2011
Yeah.
with this championship team that won the championship against the Miami Heat that year. And so it's just team building is very important, and the best teams in the NBA are going to go far, and we're seeing that. So I think that that game is actually tonight,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to it. I've got Dallas taking this series. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, because the Thunder, they're a good team and Shea is a superstar in this league. But again, I just think that being at home, those role players are gonna play better at home, and I think Luca's gonna wanna put this one away and try to get ready because get a little bit of rest because we do have a game 7 for Minnesota and Denver. We'll get into that shortly, but I think Dallas takes this one tonight and ends it in 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Mavs take it. I'm expecting a big night from Kyrie. They kind of been going back and forth like Luca, Kyrie. Luca had the good game last game. I think tonight's gonna be Kyrie's night. I think they'll win. Yeah, it won't be a blowout. I think they'll win by maybe 8 or 10.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be a great game. Um, let's get into the game sevens though, because
Yes.
Eastern Conference semifinals, game sevens are huge. We saw last night. We saw the Indiana Pacers absolutely destroy the New York Knicks. And shout out to our dad. He said that the Knicks and Pacers was gonna go 7. I completely thought that the Knicks were gonna take this in 5, but
Yep. Me too.
unfortunately the Knicks they're just so battered and bruised, and I just want to talk about that a little bit because is this a is this a consequence of Tom Thibodeau and his scheme, or is it just injury luck that's going against them right now?
This is an interesting topic. You know, I heard the commentator. I think it was the game where where the Knicks won 121-91. And
Yeah.
the commentator was glazing the Knicks a little bit, but he was calling out all of the people that were against Dom Thibodeau, saying, why are you playing only five guys, six guys? Trust the bench. And he was saying that that's gotten them this far. So why would you change that? And in response, in response to that, I would say this: you're not going to win an NBA championship playing five guys, six guys.
You're not.
So while it's gotten you this far, yes. While you've had success so far, yes. How far can you go? Um, and we see Josh Hart asking to come out with a apparent injury. He eventually goes back in. We know what Brunson is dealing with. I mean, the only guy you're really giving minutes to off the bench is Alec Burks. So that's
Miles McBride.
and
Well, he's starting. He's starting now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he has to start now. And maybe pressures Achua a little bit. But, I feel like it's a philosophy that is only going to work so far.
Yeah.
And, as bad as I want the Knicks to win, because I like the Knicks. I like their roster. I
Yeah.
like Josh Hart. I like Brunson, Villanova guys. They're,
Yeah.
good dudes, good team.
For sure.
I don't know if they can hang on. The Pacers are it's a good matchup. I think that's why this series has gone 7 games. I mean, the teams it's been blowout here, blowout here, blowout here, back and forth.
Yeah.
I hope this one's close Sunday, Sunday evening.
Yeah.
But
Last 3 games have been blowouts.
right,
I think it's just unfortunate that OG got hurt. I think
yep,
if OG was healthy, this series probably would have been over. Because when him and Brunson play together, they've probably only lost like maybe 4 or 5 times.
right,
Um, he just brings a different dynamic defensively and offensively as well. He's a decent shooter. He can get to the rim, but defensively, it just puts them in a bind because they don't have another wing. That's why they brought him in because Julius got hurt.
yep,
And he is such a great defender. He's young and he can play a lot of minutes, but unfortunately, if they do pull it out against um, the Pacers, then against the Celtics, I don't know how it's going to go because they just struggle to really you know put forth that effort like they really want to. We'll see if the Knicks crowd can really push them over the edge because it's every home team has won. So the home crowds they've been feasting off the home crowds. Um, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it is close. We'll see what happens. I thought the Knicks were going to win this series in 5. Um, I think I'm rooting for the Pacers though, just because they are more healthy. I don't know the situation with Josh Hart and his abdomen. I don't know if he's going to play. They play tomorrow, so it's not a big turnaround, not a lot of time for recovery. It's gonna have to take a Herculean effort from Jalen Brunson, and if I'm the him every time he touches the ball because
yeah,
you can't let him beat you. Not this game. It's gonna have to be the others. Um, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna be definitely tuning in, but I think I'm rooting for the Pacers though, um, just because of health and the potential matchup against the Celtics.
right. That's basically where I'm at. As much as I like Brunson and the Knicks team, similar situation with the Cavs. I feel like they'd be limping into Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
Still very talented, but the Pacers probably are a better matchup for the Celtics. Josh Hart and OG are both listed as game time decisions, so we'll see if they'll be able to go. Josh Hart probably will. OG probably, maybe, probably not. But we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, I think the Pacers probably pull this one out, even though it's at Madison Square Garden. I think the Pacers got it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely be tuning in. Let's talk about Game 7 tomorrow night, Minnesota versus Denver.
Man.
This has been the series of the year, of the playoffs so far.
Yep.
Um, we've seen a lot of storylines. We've seen a lot of huge performances. We've seen some great defense. We've seen some great offense. We've seen everything in this series, and I'm just so happy as a basketball fan, that we get a game 7 in this particular series because this is one that could just go on for ages and ages, and we would love it because we're just seeing everything, and it's such great basketball.
It is. This has been a great series. Um, Man, I feel like I'm looking at this Timberwolves team, and obviously we're rooting for them. We've said that before, but
Yeah,
what this win would mean for the organization is
huge,
huge. I mean, it would be
huge,
the
man.
first finals appearance, conference finals appearance since 2004.
Yeah,
So I was two.
yeah,
Uh,
right.
so the Timberwolves have. It's been a long time coming for them. Um, I think they're going to go for this game. It's going to be Ant versus Joker. I mean, they're going to go back and forth. I know. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited to I'm a neutral in this. Obviously root for the Timberwolves, but I'm a neutral. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see good basketball, see what's going to happen. Um, I don't know. I mean, the Nuggets are at home, obviously. Uh, it's game 7. I mean, it's win or go home. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, so I mean, but I mean, this past game though, I I don't know if I've seen a blowout like that in a very long time in the
yeah,
playoff.
mm-hmm.
Like they only scored 70 points, bro.
115-70. It's
They were
crazy.
up by they were up by 50 at one point, bro.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
they had two different 20 something runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, man. They just went crazy. Like let me look at Jokic's stats that game. I
He
don't
was he was 9 for 19, 0 for 4 from three. He had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 22 points, 36 minutes. So
man.
he was the leading, obviously, but very pedestrian game. It seemed like to me the Nuggets were like, you know what, we're up a game. Let's just go to game 7 back home. Like that's what it looked like. I don't know what happened. Maybe the game plan early didn't work. I don't know. But it just seemed like they were like, let's just go home and try and win game 7. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to Mike Conley. He came back from his injury, and Ant said that was the key.
Yeah.
Mike Conley and Jay McDaniels, and I tend to agree with them. It put everybody in positions where they wanted and needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Ant didn't have to play make; he could just go out and get buckets like he wants to. Mike Conley was a floor general, and put everybody in their spots. Cat didn't foul out; he didn't get a lot of fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Gobert played solid D. I think this team. This is the definition of a young team, and we've seen it with the Pacers. We've seen it like they're a young team, so these ebbs and flows, these like moments where they're just not locked in at certain moments. Like game 3, like your first game at home, you get blown out 117-90, and
Yeah.
then again game 5, you get blown out 112-97. Like just different, just lapses.
Yeah.
Like nobody won a home game till Denver won in game 5. That was the
Right.
first time somebody won a home game.
Yeah.
So like it's crazy. I hope we get a good game in this year. I hope it's not a blowout. Um, you know, MVPs and defending champions usually flourish in these moments.
Yeah.
So we'll see the resolve and the heart and fight that Minnesota. Hopefully, they come with it. Um, we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for Minnesota. I think I see it Minnesota in 6 or 7. So
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Minnesota. They got to hustle. And also another key factor to this game is Jamal Murray. I think he hurt his elbow or his shoulder or something like that.
yeah,
So he was dealing with the calf. Now he's dealing with this. We'll see, how he plays tomorrow night. That's going to be an important factor to it because he steps up in moments too. So we'll see. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait for these game sevens tomorrow.
absolutely. Jamal Murray is the key. Um, we've known and understood that Jokic is going to get his, but when we've seen against the Lakers how Jamal Murray plays, and against everyone else, he's kind of a shell of himself. I know he's been dealing with injuries, um, but they go as Murray goes. I've always said that. I'll continue to say that. You take
Yeah,
Jamal Murray out of this team, they're not as good. I promise.
not at all.
So
We saw
uh,
that because he won one season. He was
exactly
injured, and they were the Denver was the 6th seed.
right, exactly. So we understand that. We'll see how much he's able to give. But yeah, this game is there for the taking for the Timberwolves to go win. It's gonna come up to Conley and Ant and the others to step up. Your crowd's gonna be against you, but the
For
world
sure.
is gonna be rooting for you. So
Absolutely. I do think they have the world.
yeah, for sure.
Ant is likable guy.
Yeah,
Everybody likes him. He's an up and coming superstar.
for sure.
Potential face of the league. So I think they have that going for them. Um, I just like his charisma and his attitude.
Yeah,
I think he's a great player. Um, but yeah, that is it for NBA. Let us know who you all think is going to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
yes.
Um, Let us know, how your team's NFL schedule is looking,
Mhm.
and let us know what you think about the comments and the speech that Harrison Butker gave. Um, Very polarizing topic. We'll be down in the comment section definitely talking about it with you all. Um, Jeremiah, let's talk about something else though. You recently had a birthday that we didn't talk about that. So happy belated birthday to you, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it was last week. Getting up there, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying the time. It was a good week, a good day. Um, so yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so y'all watch some games tonight. We got Dallas versus OKC tonight. So follow us on Twitter. We'll be talking about that game for sure. If you don't follow us on Twitter, please do that. Like there's a lot of good conversation that goes on,
For sure.
and I'm definitely interacting with people that reach out and that like my tweets and the comment and things like that. So definitely follow us on Twitter at TSPJDN. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. Um, we're on the road to 100 subscribers. We're almost halfway there. So if y'all could help us get to 100 subscribers, that would be so amazing. Hit that notification bell so that you see all of our content that we're posting. Jeremiah, final words before we get out of here.
Man, this season we're in right now is super exciting for sports. Um, NBA is getting real. Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals coming up. Game sevens. This is where we see who's gonna shine. So excited to talk about that with you guys next week. Um, like you said, please like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, interact with us in the comments. We'll be talking with you guys. This has been us.
Yep. And just one final thing I forgot to mention: we will be um, first time talking about tennis. Next week, the French Open is
Yes,
starting, so we're gonna have a special guest who will be named later. But we're
really
gonna have a
excited.
special guest just talking about the French Open and bringing some tennis sports to you all for all the tennis fans out there. We got Copa America coming up in the soccer world, so we may have some special guests for that. Euros also a lot of big things in the soccer world going on this summer. The Olympics, it's just so much that's going to be going on this summer.
For sure.
We're definitely going to be bringing it all to you right here on the Talking Sports podcast. So lock in with us, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see all of our content. But that's been today's episode. I want to thank you all for watching, listening to this episode. And until next time, we're out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.